We are live! We are live. Very exciting. We are here with a special Mako Mermaids live show, and I'm going to turn it over to Jay to introduce our guests here.
Hey everyone, Jay, and we got the Mako Mermaids, Mako Island of Secrets, depending on where you're at, how it's named in your country. We're with the creator and 3 stars of the show. So I'll hand it over to Jonathan to introduce himself and then go down the line with the cast.
Okay, thank you, Jay. So, Jonathan Shiff, and I'm the creative producer of H2O and Mako Mermaids. And this is...
I am Isabel Durant. I play Aunt Dana. And I am Allie Bertram, and I play Mimi.
Hey everyone, I'm Romruen, and I play Zach Blakely.
Cool. We're going to ask some questions that we prepared, and we're going to ask some questions that the viewers are asking in the comments already. So, Kat, you want to start off with some questions?
Yes, let's start off. So first I'm going to ask Jonathan, you know, this is the spin-off of H2O, and we want to know what is the connection of H2O, Mako Mermaids, because they seem so different. This is definitely more mythology-based, I would say. So can you tell us some connection?
Sure. So that's a good question. H2O was actually based on a show I did many years ago called Ocean Girl, which was about a girl who was actually a sci-fi fantasy series. And so H2O was, of course, about real girls become mermaids, and we did 3 seasons of that, which was a lot of fun. Very successful series, and loved doing it. But for reasons of more to do with, not so much to do with story, but to do with financing structures of long-form series, it's hard to finance beyond the 3rd seasons, particularly when you're shooting out of the other end of the world in Australia. So the idea was, okay, well, let's keep the same universe and flip the premise. I thought it would also be cooler to have real mermaids trying to sneak in and become real girls. And also at the same time, we wanted to do more magic, more fantasy, superpowers, expand H2O was kind of strict, so you could only, freeze, and I'm trying to think back now. But you could freeze. I think each mermaid has their own power, right? Yeah. So we thought, oh no, let's kind of shake that up a bit. Let's do more, more powers, invisibility, go a bit more fantasy, push the envelope, and push the mythological base. Get a richer story, have a bit of history to Mako Island, and that's the reason it became a spin-off for financing. There is another reason, which is, the stars of H2O grow beyond the years of a kid series or a family series, and they want to rock into something elsewhere. Many of the cast move, obviously, we're very successful now, and both Ibigo, Claire, and Kariba, they're all awesome, and Indiana and so on. We had some amazing people, Luke Mitchell, great people moving through that show, and I like the idea that we invented something where we had a universe, but you could have different people on the Enterprise, you could have people swimming through, and so that's how Mako was born. It was kind of financed, but it was also my desire to, okay, this is good, but it's a bit strict. That's why we got the wild people in.
The wild mermaids.
Yeah.
So Jay, you want to ask the next question?
Yeah, I'm going to have a question for actually Jai. Now that Zach knows that he's a full mermaid, how is it going to change the dynamic for the show?
Well, that's a difficult question. How do I answer that one? I don't think it really changes for me much, but some of the kids, they might get a bit of a shock, and that's a really hard question.
But the whole thing wakes up this connection to the island, to the chamber, the sense that he's it was always a little bit different, Zach. Yeah. I think Zach was, a lot of people say did you always know that he was going to be adopted and so on? And the answer, honestly, and this is the first time I've said it, is no. I knew he was special, maybe something happened in childhood, but when we saw that the series was going to go for a long time, and season after season, and we needed richer, more dense story, more fantasy, more mythology, it was pretty obvious that we need to look to the guy who kind of opened stuff up in season 1 at the Trident. There was a connection that this guy's got. Why is that connection? What's it about?
I thought this was really great though, because during season 1, I had no idea that they didn't write that in until season 2. So when I first read it, I started getting a little bit teary, and I don't know, I felt a real connection to Zach, even more so than what I did in season 1, and I got to play with a lot more like deeper emotions and stuff like that. So it's really good for an actor to get some really good meat to play with,
I think it changed for Undina and Mimi as well, because when we first enter this series, our whole goal is we'll get the pod back, but also change Zach back to a lamb boy. So when we realized that the reason why everything was backfiring that we were trying was because, we were fighting a losing battle, I think for us, our relationship with Zach changes from then.
More respect.
We start working together more to get the pod back, rather than being Zach's kind of that enemy that we need to prevent from having a tail.
Yeah.
So,
It's really good. It's really good that they're tackling this subject as well, because there's a lot of kids out there that go through this. This is a real. No, sorry, not being a real mermaid, but being adopted and finding out that they could be.
They could be mermaids.
Feeling on the outside, feeling like you're on the outside and where you really belong in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mako Mermaids stepped up from where H2O was. I know you said it's like a family show and all that. It's still a family show, but I think it's more mature, and the acting is all stepped up also. Nothing against the actors on H2O, it was just that it was, I think, more for like the younger teens, and this I think is for older teens and even younger adults and up, above. Like you can,
Great
the
family
whole family
show.
can watch the show.
Yeah, it's a great family show. Everyone's
That's what you're saying.
Well, I think once we look, really honestly, we're very glad with the relationship with Netflix, because once we knew it was going that wide, it was going to be a global show, it was very strong and doing really well. You then can go, okay, this is good for co-viewing. You can watch with your kids and so on. That's a really big plus, and it's a safe show to watch with your kids, but it's still kind of dense. And also, I think H2O was my entry into this universe, and you have to put a toe in the water. Forgive me, but as you're a storyteller and you're writing and you develop characters, you can do denser, richer stories as you get confidence in the subject matter. It's not an easy show to make, to shoot. I'm going to tell you, these guys are awesome. They do months of training, and you've got to be in this prosthetic tail, and you've got to be acting underwater where you can't see anything. So it's very physically demanding. There's wire work involved, and more as we go through the series, there's stunts and action and boats, and we're filming with real sharks down under. So it's a show that's quite demanding and big to make, but at the same time, I thought, let's mature the characters, let's widen the universe. The other thing is, funnily enough, I wanted to do the darker themes, like the island, the magic. The more they trust that, the more we get on one side versus the island. What's the story with the chamber? What's going on there, And who is this Eric guy? Like, what's his agenda? So there's a lot of good stuff to drill into there. And then, frankly, just before we were locking it down, because I storyline a whole season, like I'll whiteboard a whole season. But just before we got into it, I started to think, what we need? This is all cool, and we've got the chamber and the link between you guys. It's so cool, But let's do something disruptive where that really shakes it up. So let's do something we don't have to have, but we'll just make every episode wobble a bit more, because let's give Evie a tail. Let's have these guys screw up in a comedic way. And let's give Evie a tail. And I think that just created also this whole center of gravity on, you had a good series anyway, and you could have gone with that. And then suddenly it was like, oh yeah, we forgot that girl's got a tail, and it just provided this whole top layer, I think. Don't you think? And then you had all the other richer, denser magic and stuff, but then you had all of the, particularly as comedy came into it, and I think that's really a big asset to us, is the fun we have doing it. The characters do it in a way where we're not, you know, it can be a bit scary, but it's also kind of fun, particularly for kids watching, so they kind of go, okay, the superhero guys are going to look after me. That balance between and that's, I think, in any story universe, I think that's a lovely balance to have that makes it entertaining and richer.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so entertaining to so many different demographics, is you have relationship issues that some of the older crowds can relate more to, you know, brother and sister being adopted, then you have the comedy of turning a land girl to a fish, and then you have the one-off episodes where we have an aging potion and someone goes back, and the kids love those episodes, and then some of the more mature audiences love the episodes where it's like the through storylines of this chamber and the relationships, and it's really special because I think there's something for everyone. And I even have a cousin with a 3-year-old who's watching it and just loves like the scenery of watching us be mermaids underwater. And some that's all that they'll tune in for, but that's the most spectacular part of it. It's just the visual of the Gold Coast and the underwater swimming. I think there's just something for everyone to watch.
And as the story, you know, as you get your mythological basis, and we're still expanding that, frankly, you also get a chance to expand what the characters can do. And I think season 1, I was still trying to figure it out. When we hit season 2, particularly part 2, I was like, okay, I think I just figured out exactly why we're here. And then you bring on, like, you know, the fiery romantic chemistry, and I'm thinking here both the guys, you know, all the guys, but certainly Dina's character with Eric. It's a bit of a roller coaster, and Mimi has a love interest. I don't want to do we're going to get into spoilers now.
That's a good thing. Like spoilers.
Well, if you like spoilers, we've got a lot of those.
We know our secrets.
So we're taking spoilers straight up. So in part 2, which goes out, which is, you know, up in a few hours. So in part 2, yes, I don't know. Tell us about this Eric guy, because I'm not sure. Is he okay? He seems.
Well,
nice, but
Eric. Eric and Undina kind of continue to have their turbulent, you could say, roller coaster relationship, and I guess I think it really comes down to, again, like, what they love each other very much, but they really do have very different beliefs, and they're both very stubborn people, and it's like that whole thing where it's like we both believe things that are going to tear us apart, and it's who's going to give, if anyone's going to give, and then also the whole thing between land and sea comes into play as well, and for Undina anyway, she's got this huge decisions to make about, you know, land and sea, which is basically Eric or Mimi for her, because they're pretty much sisters and so that's all to come in the next 13 episodes that we'll hit tonight. So we're all really excited to see what everyone thinks of that.
Very different creatures, aren't they?
Yeah.
How about for
and even
go on, sorry.
Even for Mimi's character, like, I wanted to get back to the marine park environment that we used to see Cleo in H2O. And I wanted to mix up, I wanted to actually start restating the universe is one universe still. We don't want to get into too many spoilers because we are presently literally shooting season 3. We've actually we've held the entire 150 crew up while we do this. So they're taking a long coffee break while we do this. But, you know, there's some very cool stuff in the journey as it continues into season 3. But certainly in season 2, second half, we've got Mimi at the marine park, and then the introduction of a love interest for Mimi as well, which is a slow burn.
Slow burn.
Sweet relationship.
Very sweet. I think Mimi's always a little tip of the land people, so cute for whatever.
You mentioned about the connection to H2O. I want to ask a question before Kat asks a question. And it's a question that fans have, I know you probably heard it 1,000 times. where does H2O fit into the Mako Mermaids universe? Is it a prequel? Is it a sequel? Where is it in the timeline?
Well, do you want the real answer, which is to be a world first that I've said that, but I'm happy to now.
Drum roll.
In season 1, as a storyteller, I thought it was a prequel. Now, as we enter and start to perhaps see someone from H2O entering our world now, it's very definitely a sequel. It's very definitely a sequel. So, and now we don't want to get too specific about who's going to come and visit us. We will be seeing someone from that H2O world swimming by soon in this 3rd season.
No, that was some of the questions that we've been getting. A lot of people have been asking, when will we see an H2O star on the show? So I know that's been on the fans' minds a lot about where it takes place.
Yeah.
And our last Mako Mermaids show, I said I think it was a prequel because of the way season 1 was set up. But exactly. I'm glad that I wasn't like just reading into it. It was that you actually set it up to be a prequel at first.
Yeah.
But I think now it's very definitely a sequel because characters that swim back will be real age. They're not going to play young. They're going to play real. So they're going to be like older, a bit older. But Mako still has power, and it's still, there's still reasons to return and get involved in other adventures. And there's lots of story and character yet to be had. Like, even though we've got cool stories in season 2, and you're about to see some secrets of the island unfold. I mean, there's that merman chamber, which, what's that about, and how does that relate even back to season 1? We have links, So that's a kind of cool mystery that will be coming to a head in the next 13 that we're about to see. And this guy is very central to that. He's got the power.
He's got the power.
So my next question is for Allie. So you are the first mermaid who's not Australian. So are we going to learn more about the Northern Pod? Like, how does that feel to, be part of this Northern Pod? I think that's a really cool aspect.
I was really excited that I'm the only one from a different, because it just adds a little bit more depth to where Mimi comes from, and I mean a little bit about our history and why is she living down. I guess we get into that a little bit more in season 3 and coming up, but for me, it was so special to come here, and I think it was so great that I get to, at episode 13, that we realized Chai and Mimi are brother and sister, and we go a little bit more to why we were never kept together, and, why you were placed on land, and why I was in the sea, and how we have this special connection, and, I mean, it's great. I love Mimi, too, because she has, I have a lot more special powers than everyone, and I'm more of a master of different spells, and I just love having a little bit of a different flair to it, because I think I'm a true mermaid, and great to be in the southern waters, but we definitely, it's a lot warmer. There's no way big orcas down here.
I mean, we don't want to give too much away, but for instance, we know that their mother left them, we find out, for safekeeping, and that there was trouble in the Northern Pod. We do have that on screen. And and somehow they were left, near each other, there could be no accident, So this mythological stuff may well have relevance as we develop, because we're starting to devolve now into season 3 or 4. As we start to journey forward, we can start tapping into, okay, I mean, maybe even we'd have to swim to colder waters one day, who knows? Not too colder.
No.
How about Jay? Do you have any comments, some questions from the audience, which is the cool part about these live shows, we can actually get some fan questions.
Yeah, I'm going to go through some of them now. Let's see. Izzy Wilson says, I have a question for John and Shiff. Yeah. Where did you get the idea for the pilot, the plot twist of Zach's past? The one where he's adopted and all. So, where did that, we know that it wasn't actually planned, but where was the spark where you said, okay, we're going to make him adopted? Where was that little spark at?
Look, once I started to develop the idea that there are different pods around the. I mean, the planet is covered by like 86% water or something. We know more about space than we do about our oceans. Seriously, like we know nothing about our oceans. Who knows what's down there? So once you start to assume, okay, there's pods, there's northern pods. We're now dealing with eastern pods in the current season that we're shooting right now. It was pretty clear that the connection these guys had, the telepathic connection, the visions they share, that's got to be a family thing, right? So if it's not the island that's calling to Zach, but actually, you know, I like the way, I don't know, it's a classic structure for that sort of mythology that there should be a family connection. I don't want to over-embark on this because I know it's a touchy subject with Isabel, but there could be royalty from a long time ago, all right? So we don't want to go into that pathway. We did want a princess, and we did want a prince, and so.
It's also neat.
But it's the Republic now, so that was a long time ago.
It's also neat that like, you were doing your casting that, you know, now that Netflix, the show's on Netflix, that, you know, we're everyone from around the world is viewing. So it was special for me that they hired a Canadian. So it's almost like the Northern Mermaid, the Canadian. It's bringing the whole world of mermaids together, and then it really was making me belong and like have this special connection to the Southern pod. And it was really great that we were able to be cast as. Well, they cast me as your sister.
Yeah. So you know that's really important when you're doing a big show like this, that you've got to have global, universal themes that everybody can relate to. But I think that's a classic, like in all mythology or, you know, comics at work, you know, all this sort of narrative, fantasy narrative. You want to be able to relate to it no matter, you know, we've got kids writing in from everywhere in the world. You know, we get a great fan mail. The fans are awesome. I mean, the show is really, it's great. The fans are awesome. It's great that it's embraced. It's great they go on the journey. As I say, it's a continuing journey because I enjoy the fact that it devolves as we go along. You know, it's still not easy to work like that because you've got to kind of make sure you cover the past history off as you're doing the future history. But it's sort of, to me, it's like the inverted pyramid, you know, and the more it grows, the more we're going to see deeper, richer stories and new things, you know. But at the same time, having it grounded, I just really liked it. I thought it was kind of cool that they come from a connective tissue back to, you know, the merman wars. There was this gender wars, and that, you know, and that was kind of cool too, I thought, because at the end of the day, a mermaid show's about, you know, it's empowering, it's aspirational, particularly for young girls that've got superpowers. It's a kick-ass show for young girls. What's wrong with that, you know? So at the same time, we've got to kind of make sure there's some gender balance, that not all mermen are bad, you know, and so it's a great opportunity to do a show that has so many other things kicking around for young kids watching.
Yes, that is awesome.
Any other questions? They were cool.
We have another question from, I'm sorry, Kat.
I was going to say, Jay, you have the questions.
We have another question from our viewer, and it's from Fantasy Fiction 101, and they have a question for Isabel. It says, I saw you in Dance Academy with Kariba in an episode. Was it fun to work with a former mermaid, and which character do you think you relate to more, Ondina or Grace?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, yes.
Well, it was amazing to work with Kariba, firstly, on Dance Academy, and that was before when I worked with Kariba on Dance Academy, that was before I even thought I was considered for Mako Mermaids. So talking to her about her experience on H2O, like when I was casting Mako Mermaids, I was like flashback to the time when I spoke to Kariba about it, because it was like pretty amazing, and that was probably like a year and a half before I even thought I'd be part of the Mermaid Saga. And then I think character-wise, I think they both do have similar traits in that they're quite stubborn, and they are different and quite like self-empowered, and do get it wrong. And I think the great thing about both of them as people, and what I feel like I've learned from playing them, is that it's fine to have your beliefs and be firm in them, but also having being humble and recognizing when you're wrong, and fixing your relationships with people when you are wrong is so important. And I think through Ondina and Grace, I've kind of learned that. So I've had fun playing both of them, and I think playing Grace has definitely helped me to play Ondina. So I don't think I'd have a favourite, but then I mean, they're also quite different in that one's a dancer and one's a mermaid. So, I mean, I get to see what she with both of them, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
So my next question before we get to
Dina's also a bad dancer, which I always which I really like. Like we did the party and it was written on Dina's doesn't like dancing, and I was like, yes, thank you, Jonathan. I don't want to be a mermaid who's like ripping out. Yes. Like she just wants to walk, So I thought that was really cool.
So my next question before we get to more fan questions, and also we are getting towards the end, so we probably get one more fan question, maybe one more question for me and Jay. My question is actually for all the mermaids here. Did you watch H2O, and also for Allie and Isabel, did you watch Mako Mermaids Season 1 to prepare for your roles? So I guess whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, well, I remember as a child watching H2O every single day when I came home from school with my little sister. We were obsessed, which was quite amazing. So when I found out Mako was happening, I was like, but and yeah, we did all. I think I watched the whole of Season 1 and was hooked. And
I was gonna say, when I got the audition to do Mako Mermaids, the first thing I always do is go and research the show. And so I had Netflix, so I went on, and Season 1 was on there, and I started just watching Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3, and by the end of the first night, I think I watched 7 episodes. And I was like, okay, I think I got enough information for my audition. And I knew in the scenes that Jonathan had sent me that they were casting for Troy's sister, or for Zach's sister. And I remember thinking, I guess we could maybe. And I remember, I think it was summertime, or it was end of summer in Vancouver, so I had a nice little tan going. And I was, so I finished all of Season 1 of Mako Mermaids, and then I never watched it. But it's now on my Netflix. And it says that it's a show.
If you like Mako, you might also like H2O.
Exactly. It's telling me that if I like Mako, I would like H2O. So I'm
maybe
gonna
it's possible. You know.
So maybe. You never know. So I will have to go back. I've gone back and watched a couple episodes, like of the marine park, of Phoebe's Cleo working at the marine park, and just some of the episodes.
If we ever see an H2O mermaid, you may have to quickly speed.
I guess I have lots of work to do.
My mother was a massive fan, and she was always like, "Chad, come watch this," and I'd always come down and sit with her and just watch the mermaid. So it's so beautiful, you couldn't away from it. But when I got the audition for Mako, I told my mom, and she was freaking out. She's like, "Oh my God, whoa! I can't believe it! I love that show so much." She's
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. Please get. I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you." So I ended up getting it, and I think my mom was more happy than me about getting the show. And she's really,
Can I get
just like, so yeah, my mom's.
Did you watch it, Jonathan? Did you watch H2O?
A little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good show.
Good.
Great show. Great show. Great show, and there's a lot of Ricky. There's a lot of Ricky from H2O in the birth of the character of Ondina. There's a lot of that sparky, feisty,
Yeah.
But of course, Isabel has the benefit of having all that humor that she gets to play with, which is the fun part of that as well.
It's really fun. Really.
Well, because magic in Mako, it works some of the time, but a lot of the time, I gotta tell you, it's when we see a few cats around this.
I actually watched Ocean Girl more than
that was
H2O. That was an amazing show.
Still underwater.
So Jay, you have one more question, then also one more fan question, then we do have to start wrapping up.
Yeah, I just want to ask Jonathan something real fast. You've done time travel sci-fi with Thunderstone. You've done Aliens with Lightning Point. You've done the Mermaids and other ocean themes with Ocean Girl, H2O, and all that. A lot of your shows have strong female leads, and they're sci-fi themes. That's not a genre that's usually geared towards younger women. Is it important for you that you do these shows that are geared towards younger women inside science fiction, which, you know, mainly sci-fi shows are geared towards men around in their 20s and 30s? Is it important for you to do that?
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, you know, to be honest with you, you know, I was a lawyer for some years. I was pretty bored being a lawyer, and I'm sure being a lawyer was fun for some, but it wasn't for me. And so my wife and I had a little girl. So it's no accident that 29 years ago I started in this business. And I found that I love the fantasy genre, I love the action adventure, but I particularly like the fantasy, the sci-fi spin. And I found there was not a lot for young women. You know, there was not a lot of roles for that, but in a way they were kind of the coolest characters because of the other expectations, you know, female role modeling and stuff and the pressures and stuff. I felt, well, here's a way to cut loose and you're going to get a much better story and there's a bigger mission, if you will. And I found a better place to write stories, better lead characters, you know. It's no surprise, therefore, that you know, I like movies like The Fifth Element. I like Lucy, you know, and you know, I like stuff that's got kick-ass female leads, and I think they rock. And I think you can still have a lot of male leads around them. You know, I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm toying with new ideas, and you know, I might do something soon that's got boy-girl lead, you know, or an ensemble. But I do think that empowered female leads rock. And when you look at the mermaid genre, obviously, the whole reason it's absolutely on fire is because it's, you know, they're kind of cool and sexy, but they're powerful and empowered and mystical and at one with the planet and so on. There's a lot of great story to be had out of that. Whether they're underwater or whether they're on land, you don't mess with them. And I like that. That's a great starting point for a story.
Very true. I 100% agree with that. So Jay,
I just love the fact that you do that because, like I said, I'm a science fiction fan, but I like the fact that you're in that females, because I got you know, like nieces, not nieces, little cousins and all that, who are. I'm trying to get into science fiction because I think it's fun for, you know, all people to be into it. It's a good genre, and I'm glad that there are shows like H2O and Mako Mermaids out there that can pull them in and get them into the other stuff, have them explore it.
Science fiction is difficult to get into long form, you know, drama, and fantasy is a lot easier. I still am a huge fan of sci-fi, so maybe not done with that yet.
A lot of the viewers
sci-fi too, so it's great to see female leads in sci-fi.
Yeah. A lot of the viewers are asking about what's coming up, what other creatures may exist in this Mako Island world. So, and it's a question that I actually wanted to know too. And could you maybe do a show about werewolves? Because that's something that you don't see in Australia that much, like Australian werewolf mythology. So maybe,
especially
about that.
Werewolf. Female werewolves like hardly exist in TV.
I think that's a cool idea. I mean, I'm open to anything. Once we get done with mermaids, I'm open to anything.
The idea's coming.
Right now, I think there's still, you know, we're shooting the new season episodes for Mako Mermaids, and we're dealing with it is a spoiler, but it's out there. There's a 65-foot water dragon who doesn't take any direction. You don't want to mess with it. Has no sense of humor. Big trailer.
Diva.
Right, shocking. We have like some cool storylines now with the new mermaid Wayland who's come in. When we return for another one of these, if you'll have us back,
definitely
we'll bring on
for sure.
we'll bring back some of the other cast, like Wayland from the new season, but also maybe Cam Carley, who I think are a big linchpin to rock through. You know, you don't see them doing a lot of magic, but I think they're incredibly adorable. The Cam Carley storyline that bubbles through this, and there's a lot of amazing stuff to happen to them in these new episodes. Watch that space.
Yeah.
There's a lot of magic with him there.
There's magic in the relationship. Exactly.
Sparks.
So
Go ahead, Kat.
I was gonna say, so Jay just told me maybe we could do a little lightning round. That way we could get some other questions in, but obviously quickly to get some of those questions in, because we do have a lot of questions, and so we'll do like a mini lightning round. So Jay would start us out with that. Is that what you're gonna say, Jay?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about, like, I'm not sure if they do these over in Australia, but yearbooks here we do, like, best, most likely to do this, most likely to do that. So I want to ask you on set who these are, the player versions. Yeah. So let's see. Who is the most fun on set? The most fun on set.
That's a lot.
We're pretty funny.
Everyone.
We all have a lot of fun.
I think that's a good answer.
Yeah.
We're
so much fun.
Okay.
a lot.
A lot.
Who's the biggest prankster?
Oh, we are! We pranked the boys last year. Noble.
They thought it was the director, but it was us.
We stuck everything in their trailer to just do it. With the help of the camera department.
Yeah, camera department tape.
Yeah.
We know you spend a lot of time in the water when you're filming. Who's most likely to be found in the water when they're not filming?
Ah, that's a good one.
You are most likely to be found in the water when you're not filming.
Oh, yeah.
I surf the most.
Religious surfer. I've been surfing since I was about 14. I used to compete,
So,
and I love being in the water. I think that's why I really love the Ocean Girl, because I really related to it.
and we get a little sick of the chlorine after a while, so I try and stay out of the water.
When I finish filming, I'm like, can we more stuff? Like maybe can we like add some more scenes where Zach swims past? They're like, no, we're done. We're done.
Who's most likely to be found napping or sleeping during breaks?
We sleep every lunch hour. We have a couch in the trailer, and I take on the left side, and
We kind of spoon
like opposite. And we have like a quick 20-minute power nap, and then we're like, okay. And so we sleep.
Yeah.
It's good to take that power nap. 20 minutes, it's worth it.
Kat is known for her naps. She likes to take a nap before the show.
Yeah.
Not today, but usually I do.
Who is most likely to flub their lines, to have retakes and stuff like that?
Okay, wow, this is a tough one.
We better make moveless real this time. It's just gonna be me. It's just gonna be me.
Try.
Guilty.
Who is most prepared?
Oh.
Who's really good is Dom. When he comes on, is always like
Cam.
Cam.
Gemma's pretty.
They're all pretty good. I think
They're
Carrot is also pretty retard.
Everyone.
Yeah. Everybody but these guys.
We got about
on the panel.
4 more. I got about 4 more. So who's the worst mermaid/mermaid in the water with the swimming? Because you gotta do it's like a very skillful way that you swim. Who's the worst one at that?
We have about a month of pre-production, and so we actually, when we get into SeaWorld, we're all really
But that's because we have a legend stunt trainer
the best.
who did.
I will say, like the way you guys do it, it's just it seems like you were born to do that. So great job for training.
Try Allie, myself, and Gemma will all come from a dance background, and I think that's helped so much.
Yeah.
Even when we're doing the dives and we have to be in sync, like we'll get one take, and it's amazing, like because we're so used to diving, like you're so aware of the people around you that we can dive all together in sync, and if you I'm perfect.
My biggest problem was I have a fear of drowning. I think a lot of people do, right? That's a normal fear. But because my fear, he used to control me. I used to be kind of uncomfortable holding my breath, and there was a time in season 1 where I started panicking a little bit. And I had a chat to the stunt coordinator, and he was like, "Just everything's fine. We've got a lot of people here. It's okay." And with Darko, he trains us for about a month or one and a half prior to filming. His kind of moral was just make sure you're comfortable in your own skin first. And so I started doing a lot of breath holds and stuff at home. I think all these guys did as well. Yeah. But he got me really comfortable under the water that I started holding my breath for quite a long time. And Izzy held her breath for like 3 minutes, 2 minutes?
Not right.
It was a long time.
It was like a minute 45 or something.
It was ridiculous. So it's all thanks to Darko, our stunt coordinator, who's really made us comfortable in under the water where it's really hard to act.
So hard to act.
You can't breathe.
They did a great job. They did a great job because you seem like all of you just seem like you're naturally born to do that. So that's a skill.
Guys, thank you.
Your best moment on set.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh no. So it seems like we always say to go.
We always say SeaWorld, but there's so many. Like I think it's like the fan.
I think lunchtime. Lunchtime.
Food. We have some amazing catering.
Dessert, but I'll be fine.
We have to go back to
one
work.
final.
Yeah.
One final?
I'm sorry, one final one. I'm going to go down the line, but I'm going to do reverse with, starting with Chai. The real secret of Mako Island is...
Ooh.
Damn.
Oh, man. There's so many.
Phone a friend.
Yeah, can I phone a friend?
That's
Jonathan. Ask Jonathan first.
No, you go. What is the real secret of Mako Island?
Bringing. It's so. And it's
Ooh, that's
so
a good question.
magical. I don't know.
I know. Not to be found there.
Yeah.
And that is another day.
The secret of Mako.
Is not to be found there.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a hard one.
That's a hard one.
And there's a lot of exploration to go before.
There won't be many secrets after season 3. I don't know. Is everyone know?
When can we, we're getting ready to close up, so when can we expect, we know season 2 is going to be premiering in just 4 hours. It's going to go on Netflix in just 4 hours.
Waiting
season
up.
2
So 3
big.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we're waiting up. We're going to be watching it as it goes on. But and you're filming season 3. So when can we expect that? Like, estimate it, like
Well, early next year. So because we're shooting now and we wrap out like by August, then we've got to do the music effects, and one of our characters won't come out of the trailer, so he's in the computer, and so it takes a while to CG that. So yeah, in the new year, by which time we hope to be engaged in shooting more mermaid adventures. We're not done yet.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Is there any other things you guys want to mention before we close the show? Like anything you guys want to say?
No, I just want to. We're good, but we want to thank you so much and the fans.
Thank you so much for supporting us.
The fans are what make the show.
Exactly.
We make
Totally,
it for the
exactly.
fans. So thank you everyone for enjoying
Keep
it.
watching. Enjoy the new episodes.
And we love making it for the fans.
Yeah.
So
We love hearing from them.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, and thank you guys for coming on. Thank you. All right, bye, guys.
Thank you.